one of the things I love to do is like conversations, and call this Youth Revival Convo. Really want to talk about youth ministry, and I think sometimes within the conversation, you begin to learn more and you get a little bit more in depth and things. So obviously we're privileged to have you, Dan, with us. And
these guys are awesome, mate. Nathan, Debbie, they're pretty cool.
Helps we've got a great team.
It's a phenomenal team.
Yeah, amazing team. So, so you lead Hillsong Youth and Young Adults UK.
Yeah.
And I asked you earlier, and it took you a while, but how many leaders would that represent in you leading?
Probably across the board, team leaders, maybe about 550, 600. 600.
Wow.
Yeah. This is why I'm going great. It's a lot of work.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so how would you keep everyone on the same path? Obviously you got 600. Obviously a lot of that is over the UK. Yeah. But how would you keep everyone on the same path? This is where we're heading. This is the vision. This is the goal. This is the culture. What would be some of the practical kind of ways that you would do that?
Yeah, man. So basically, every person who is on team or leadership, they're connected to something, right, or something that they're part of. So they're not running off doing their own thing. Yeah. And we have a clear organizational structure of, myself, my wife, we're the Youth and Young Adult Pastors UK, and then we have our location Youth and Young Adult Pastors, and then all the teams and all that kind of breakdown from there. Yeah. And so what we do is that every single month, we have these rhythms, called them monthly rhythms, leadership rhythms, where I would sit with Gary alongside all the other department heads and location pastors, and we would hear leadership stuff from Gary, and that would come to me, and then I would sit down with my key team, and they would hear the same thing, but then how does that apply to youth and young adults? Yeah. Then they would sit down with their key team. So you can never, if you don't put those leadership meetings in place, then the same stuff won't flow down. Yeah. And so you have to stick. That's what part of this discipline stuff. Yeah. You got to stick to rhythms, man. Yeah. You got to stick to be able to have great communication flow with people. Yeah. And then what I say is, like, I have my core team. Yeah. And so like Jesus had his 12. But that didn't stop him from hanging out with anyone and everyone. Yeah. But he knew he had his 12. Yeah. And if he can get his 12 right, then everything can flow from there. Yeah. And so I make sure that I spend a great amount of time with my core team. Right. And so that even if it's not a leadership session that we're doing or whatever strategic meeting, what they're doing is they're catching culture. Yeah. They're catching culture, how to be, how to do. Yeah. And so what they do is then they begin to be that and do that with their teams. And so what you see is that you see how can everybody stay on the same page and the same path. It's because everyone's catching the right culture. Yeah. And they're displaying that. When I see that things aren't, then you can see that, okay, maybe we need to step in and do some stuff. But yeah.
No, so good. And that clear communication is key. Yeah. But I also love that thought of like just hanging out. Because that was like Jesus' call to people. Hey, just come and be with me.
Yeah. And that's for us, like, so when I started young adults like 5-6 years ago, and we inherited a team of 20 people. Within 2 weeks, it went down to 6 people. Like, everyone was just leaving. Like, we was getting phone calls left, right, and centre. People like, can I meet you? And I'm like, I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, but you're from Hillsong, mate. You don't have problems.
No, see, that's the myth.
Exactly.
That's the myth. People come to Hillsong.
Kill that myth.
People come to Hillsong and like, oh, everything's done for me. We don't need to do anything. And there's 20 of us like running around, flapping like birds, like how to make this happen. And so what we did is we go, okay, what we need to be able to do is create a family. Create a team culture, this family, not people just doing stuff, but we want to, whoever it is. So I'm not looking for skill set, I'm just looking for who wants to be part of this family. Right. And so what we did is that me and my wife, just over a period of time, we just opened our doors, and they're still open now. People know they can come over to our house whenever. Yeah. But we were very disciplined and very intentional about just having parties and about hanging out and all of this stuff. And people would just come to our house and hang out. And now what they did is that they bought in to who we were. Who me and my wife were, who our family was, and then because they bought into us, they bought into what we're a part of. Yeah. And so now, maybe if they'd never ever dreamt of serving in young adults before, for some reason, because we're in it, They want to be in it, and they go, "Oh, I want to help you guys. I want to be part of this." And then eventually, what they do is they catch the vision of the young adults ministry. So therefore, it's no longer about us; it's about what they're a part of. And so we just take people on that journey. And now, those 6 people, 4 of those 6 people are still our core team today, like 5-6 years later, and they've built the team. We've just built them. And they've been able to build a team, and that's exactly what we do. So for us, you ask my staff team, we party all the time, man. Like we hang out, like Sunday after church, we'll do after church hangouts. Then it's like, come to my house, let's hang out. And we'll just play games and music, and it's just a vibe. We just have fun. And then from that, then we work hard. And so
I think that's great. And when you said parties there in your East London accent, we thought you said pies for a moment.
Pies, yeah.
Pies.
Pies, yeah.
But it's not pies, it's parties.
Party.
Yes.
Party.
So good. But you mentioned there just at the end, like a little throwaway comment, like your team have built the team as well. And I know we talked a little bit about duplicates and all of that. I wondered if you could explain like the importance of that and, like that culture of raising, like someone to do what you do. Because like, for you, if, the boss, Gary, comes and says, right, you're going over there, who's doing that? You got to have someone.
Absolutely. And so for every single person on our team, every leadership person, we call what's called a duplicate. So everybody's got a duplicate. So whatever role you do, there is a duplicate for it. So someone who can do what you do, either as good as you or better than you. And so you bring them along the journey. They may not start off that way, but you decide, I'm going to bring you along the journey, that if I ever get pulled in to do something else, something more, something different, then what I'm doing right now doesn't mess up, but it's actually stronger because I'm stepping out of it. And so every leadership person has got a duplicate. What that does as well, it allows you to have a guilt-free week off as well. You're going on holiday or something, it goes, well, it can't be done because I'm on holiday. No, your duplicate steps in, and they can do it. And so for us, there's so many times that, on Sundays, we're heavily volunteer-based within our church. And so for us, every volunteer leader has a duplicate. So it means they can take a Sunday off. They can be sick without feeling guilty. They can do this because there's a duplicate that steps in and does that. And what it does, it doesn't just mean that, okay, now we're going to move you to a completely different place. Like, if the boss asked me to be a location pastor, whatever, do that. It's more going, okay, now you can actually carry more. So you can do more. So now this department, this ministry can do more because you've raised up some phenomenal leaders. And so the impact that you can have is greater because you've got greater leadership. And so every time that I see my leaders developing great duplicates, and the trick is this, it's not that you've just got a duplicate, but your duplicate has got a duplicate. Because as everybody moves forward, there's always room. And so what this does, it creates opportunity for people to be a part of something. So just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you make that thing stale and stagnant, but it means that now you're creating room for more people to be involved, to be a part. You're creating opportunity. And so that's exactly what we do, man. And so that's why you look across the board that there are always things people are stepping into, creating room for others to step into. But these people, they're not stepping out, they're growing up. And so that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's being willing to have a non-threatened attitude and a non-threatened culture of, like I want a duplicate, firstly. Secondly, I want someone to be better than me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the duplicate's not your PA.
No.
They're not doing stuff for you. Yeah. The duplicate is the person that you are raising up. I was speaking to Debbie before and just saying, one of the pastors in church, he said to me like years back, he was like, your greatest accomplishment will not be how big your young adults ministry is, your youth ministry. It won't be how big your team is. It will be how many people you can look around church on a Sunday, or you could look around this room of staff and you can go, they were in young adults, they were in young adults, they were in young adults. Yeah. We've been able to raise people up for the betterment of the church, not for my little thing.
I love that as well, because we don't exist, church doesn't exist to build our ministries, we exist to build the church. And I think that's so powerful, and such a powerful thought of I want a duplicate even the attitude of like I want to replace myself, those kind of things. And I loved when you said like I can take a holiday guilt free, and knowing that there won't be like a blip or even a drop, in what we might call standard, or a drop in the level because I've raised that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you an example of that. Maybe like it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, my dad passed away, like freak accident. It was wild. But during that time, I was around but not around. But I said to my team, like my core little team, I was like, hey guys, I don't know how much my head is in right now. I don't know how much I'm going for it. Like I'll be around, but some days I won't be. But you know what? Because they had been on the journey, and they were my duplicates, and they had duplicates, the department and the ministry was not affected because of what was going on in my life. It was still able to grow. It was growing and doing amazing things. And I think so often when we make it about us, when stuff happens to us, that ministry or that department dies. And so we've got to make it, this is not about me. This is about what I'm a part of. And so if you're able to do that, then when anything happens, I didn't feel bad for not being all right in the head for like 4 months, 5 months, because my team were amazing. And they could carry stuff. And so it didn't make me feel bad that I was like, I'm just not feeling good to come in that meeting today. Wow. I wasn't guilty. No. You know what I mean? And so often we carry guilt for not being at things or doing things. But we can grow like that if we're raising up leadership. Yeah.
And I get even some like youth ministries would even have to stop because they're away. Yeah. Whereas actually, hey, I'm going to raise a whole... So that doesn't have to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm here today, but we still had youth yesterday. For all of that, like the boys and girls were split yesterday, but everything carried on. And so it's not dependent on if I'm there or not. We're able to still move forward.
That's great. So just talk to us about youth. Obviously, you're in London. You're based in London, and which presents challenges. Buildings,
crazy. Lack of.
So how would youth look for you? Maybe like on a monthly basis. How would that run? What's the big focus? Those kind of things.
Yeah, so we're all about groups, crews. We call them crews. So we're all about crews. So the small group of our community, all of that kind of vibe. That's how we're going to build our youth ministry. And so London's so spread, man. Like we were just saying, like yesterday, from where I live to get to the boss's house, I'd leave myself like an hour and 45 minutes to travel across London to get to his house. It's crazy. And so we can't always gather all of our young people together every week just because logistically it's wild. So what we do is every week we have crews which meet on a Friday night all across London. So we split London into 4 regions, north, east, south, west. There's crews around there. There's probably about 150, 60 crews across London going on. And so we run that every Friday night. And then once a month we call it YXWay weekends. So Friday night is youth, Saturday night is young adults. And that's where we would gather in our warehouse like this, and all of those crews would come together. And so how good that youth night is dependent on how healthy crews are. Great. So my focus is not on our youth nights, because I know that they're going to rock. We get a great band, we do the run sheet, it's going to be sick, all of this kind of vibe. My focus every single week, every single time, is how healthy are our crews. Are our crews great? How well are our leaders there? That shows me how well our leadership is doing, how healthy our small group community is. Because if the crew is good, then they want to be together and they want to gather together. And so that youth night is a gathering of our crews. It's not just some random youth night that we're doing. So
So what would be some like the key indicators for you that a crew, a small group was healthy? What are some of the things that you're looking for within that?
So I'd look at like the family vibe that it's got within it. I'd look at, that whole thing is everybody on the same path, same direction. So if we're talking about whatever our monthly theme is, I'm like, I'm listening. Is that the talk? Is that what you're talking about? Are people a part of what we're doing wider than your crew? Do people want to hang out? I'm looking at a crew leader, and I'm going, are you praying for your young person? Right. Are you contacting them weekly? Are you meeting the parents? Are you remembering memorable moments? Are you creating awesome moments for young people, opportunities for young people. So I'm looking at all of that stuff as for a crew leader and for the crew and going, okay, cool, this is great. Are there more people coming to that crew? Because if it's a great crew, then a young person wants to bring their friend. If it's not a great crew, then they will go along to entertain you and to tick off the box. But if it's a great crew, they want their mates to be a part of it. And so is that crew growing by friends coming to be a part of it?
That's great. And you touched on there, obviously, your crew's doing all the same notes, like on the same page, all of that. And so would that be just something like, so you talked about your leadership, that'd be something you pass down and pass through?
So within that leadership, so for the whole year, we would plan out, this is what our theme is each month. And so we'll plan out the whole year, this is why. And really, if I'm honest, it never changes, man. Like what we talk about never changes. The name might change to make it more relevant, which relevant means a way of understanding, so a way that these people can understand. So it doesn't really change. We talk about the same kind of things, but we go through about that at the beginning of the year. Then, let's say in January, a crew leader will get, start of January, crew leader will get February's crew notes, crew videos. Each location would get all of the crew, like social media assets, all that kind of stuff, which then in their locations to their crew, it gives them a month to plan what they're going to be doing in February. So everyone's a month ahead. And so we would talk about that within our leadership going, okay, all right, next month in July, we're talking about one sound. So it's all about unity. It's all about being together. So these are the crew notes for the next 4 weeks. This is what it looks like. This is the crew video. This is the message we're trying to get across. Go for it. So now you as a crew leader doesn't mean that you're like a muppet trying to just, go through every bit of crew notes. But it's for you to sit down on your own and go, okay, I'm reading them crew notes. Great, I'm catching the heart. I get it. This is cool. All right, maybe I'm going to go through it like this, or maybe I'm going to take that chunk because I know this chunk is really applicable to my group of young people. So that's what I'm going to do.
So there's flexibility.
Flexibility. But what it is we're all moving rhythmically together. We're all on the same page. So you're just taking that little bit and you're taking that bit, but it's applying to your young people. But it's the same topic. And so that has helped so much with our strength and our growth.
I think that's amazing. I love the emphasis. Obviously, you've had to do this in London. But I love that thought, and I even think with today's generation, the whole thought of the group and the community and family, I think that's such a big thing in today's generation that's missing.
Absolutely, and I think, and that's culture, right? That's culture. That's the culture that we live in, and so for me, that's where this whole thing, positively shaping society, because culture are behaviours, backgrounds, and norms that make up a particular society. And so we got to bring kingdom culture to society. And so we got to change what norms, social behaviors and background, all of that, we got to change what that looks like. The way we do that is by building and investing into our young people so that it doesn't stay within that crew, but they go out to their school and they begin to change the culture which shapes the society that we live in. And so that's exactly the message that we're putting out. And so culture's huge. Like, everyone has their own culture. That's what I was saying before. But kingdom culture is different. Like Jesus like shows us and puts away with it when he goes to the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman at the well. The first thing she says to me is like, you shouldn't be talking to me. You're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan. This is not the culture that we live in. And Jesus is like, I don't give a crap about culture. I'm bringing kingdom culture. So it doesn't matter if I'm a man speaking to a woman, doesn't matter if I'm a Jew speaking to Samaritan, this is kingdom culture. We leave that culture at the door and we're going to step into kingdom culture. And so that's how we're going to shape the society that we live in today, by bringing kingdom culture, bringing heaven to earth.
Great. That's so powerful. And I love the message, the positively shaping society. I love that whole thought. What are some of the ways, so, we can be inspired and we can have like, okay, I believe God wants this for young people. I believe God wants young people to go and positively shape society. How do you get that message to young people? How do you get them to buy into that? How do you get them to grab that for themselves and go and live that out?
Yes, big question. I think you've got to believe it yourself.
Great.
That they can.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to tell them
Yeah.
that they can. You've got to be able to remind them that they can.
Yeah.
And you've got to show them that they can. And so for me, it's like, how can I create opportunities within what I'm responsible for you to go, I'm going to step out and do something big. I'm going to step out and shape society. I'm going to step out and do that. So in terms of youth nights, we create opportunities for young people to be involved, get involved with it. So they feel like they can. Like one of our young people had a desire to be a DJ. And so we bought him like a MacBook Pro or whatever it is and some DJ decks. He's like 15 years old. But now he's getting gigs all over the place like this. So we bought him this little system when he was like 13. And he just worked that little system. It was great. And then so we blessed him with this bigger system. And now he's getting gigs. I'm like, you could go out and you can shape society by DJing and impacting that world, impacting your school. There's young people in our youth ministry that are going out doing stuff for Disney. There's young people, like it doesn't even have to be big. It's like you could go and do something great in school. Like they're running like a lunchtime club or something like that. Wherever it is, whatever it is, it's about going, I'm not going to conform to the patterns of this world. We'll be transformed, and I'm going to change the environment. So you go, there's two things. What is it, a thermometer or a thermostat? Thermometer tells you the temperature of the room. A thermostat sets the temperature. We all got to be thermostats. We got to go into our place, wherever it is, and set the temperature. So it doesn't mean necessarily you've got to get into the mayor's office to make the change. You just got to be the change at home. Be the change in school. Be the change when you're out on the streets with your mates. Like, just be that, and that's the character, that's the heart. So we're constantly teaching character, heart, and we're constantly telling young people, you can do way more than you think you can. That your dreams can come true. And so I feel like when I look at some of what young people are achieving today, it's crazy, man. Like it's crazy. Like a few of our boys, they're like some of our youth leaders or whatever. But have you heard that song, Piece of Your Heart? Good Boys Medusa. Da, 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 da. They're our youth leaders.
Sing it for us, though.
Show me a piece of your heart, a piece of your... I don't know the lyrics. But
I think it might even be on some like our playlist.
Yeah. But they're our youth leaders. They're our youth leaders. Like, literally, one of them had a baby on Friday, then played at Capital Summertime Ball at Wembley on Saturday. Like, but it started off as a dream. But you go, you can do anything that you want to do. You can achieve anything you want. And so you just discipline, keep going, keep encouragement, build the church, put God first, and He will grant you the desires of your heart. Keep going. And now these boys are like in over their head because they're playing at Wembley. They're on the radio like 6-7 times a day. Wow. It's crazy. But they've been number one in multiple countries. Well, what's happening is incredible. And so if you can inspire people to dominate in their sphere of influence, because I'm not going to do that. No. I'm not going to be, as much as I wish I was a number one.
Your voice was good there.
Thank you very much, sir. As much as I wish I could get a number one chart, I can't. No. But what I can do is I can build you up. And that's how the church can be effective. So that's how the church can shape society. Not necessarily, we're doing everything, but we're empowering people to go out. Like I'm not going to be able to go into every school, but if I can empower a young person to go into a school and do it, it's going to be incredible.
I think that's so powerful, and I love the little comment. And I know, I think I know a couple of the guys who the song is, and they've built the church, and they've put God first. Yeah. And I think sometimes what happens is people have a dream, and they think, I have to I have to step away from like serving, but like no.
The dude playing at Wembley, so Josh, the main guy, he was playing at Wembley, doing that on Saturday. Sunday, first 2 services, he's leading worship. Yeah. So just because this is coming true, you don't put down the things of God. No. You carry them both. And he will grant you the capacity to be able to do both.
And we need to teach a generation and show a generation that, because I think we have it's either or, and actually, no. You never, Brian Houston, you never come second by putting God first, and I think that's so powerful. But also along those lines of the positively shaping society, you model that yourself, and you get into some pretty cool places of influence and do that.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I really don't know how.
Because you put God first.
Put God first.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. So last year at one of our summer camps, we was running around one of our summer camps for our Guildford campus, and I was there. And it was maybe like half hour before I was about to speak. I got an email on my phone, and it was from the London Mayor's office and the Mayor's PA, and she was just wrote me this email, and it was basically like, "Hey, we'd love for you to have breakfast with the Mayor on this date. Can you do it?" So I'm like, I don't even know what the date is, but yes, I can do it. And so anyway, so I went for this breakfast, and there was maybe like 4 of us around the table, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and then 2 other people. And he just wanted to talk about youth in society, wanted to talk about the church and all of that kind of vibe. And somehow he'd seen and heard about what we're doing as a youth ministry and the impact it's having in schools. And so yes, so then he said, can you be on this board, this round table, and we're going to meet quarterly, and we're going to talk about youth issues and discuss about that. Wow. And so yes, that's what I've been doing since then. I've been talking about that. I've had opportunities to sit down with the Deputy Mayor and her team London and talk about, because they go, okay, Hillsong, you have this impact, but your staff is like this small, so you're based on volunteers. We've seen what you do with volunteers. Can you teach us how to engage volunteers? So I sat down with the Mayor's office talking about how to engage volunteers. And I'm like, well, for us, it's Jesus. So that's the whole thing. But talking about that, from there, we've got into New Scotland Yard, which sort of runs the police department. Literally before Leaders Ab, I said at Leaders Ab, they have just endorsed us in everything that we do within this, because they came to one of our schools, things that we do. And they're like, this is incredible. We need to get this into as many schools as we can. They've endorsed us, said that basically we've got access to pretty much every school in the UK. So it's pretty incredible what's happening. But we haven't tried for that. No. And I think that's, I don't know if that's the key, but for me, it's like we haven't tried. We've literally been about building the local church. Yeah. And from the health of the local church, it has made society stop and stare and go, we need what you've got. Yeah,
that's so good. I wondered, I wonder if you'd be able to share just some of the thoughts around youth, in those conversations, and maybe the things that are happening within youth, and maybe like couple of the issues that they're like, hey, this is an issue, we're wanting to change this. Yeah. So we're aware that actually these are the issues that they're looking at.
Yeah, sure. So here's some of the issues. A lot of the stuff is with knife crime, youth violence, all that kind of vibe, that whole sort of stuff. And I guess a lot of that stems from, like lack of purpose, lack of vision, lack of support. And so we're looking at how do we support this generation coming through. How do we help them from grassroots, all that kind of vibe? And I think, I talk about there's like 4 things that changed my life, and I talked to the mayor about it. And number 1 was role models. Right. There's a lack of great role models around for people to look up to. We in this day and age, I don't know what the stats are here, but in London, majority, I think it's like 1 in 4, come from single parent families. And so that lack of, whether it's mum or dad in the house, is huge. Yeah. And so that whole role model thing doesn't exist. We've got role models at a distance via social media and all of that kind of vibe, but we don't have role models with proximity who can do exactly what you said, put encouragement, courage into people. Yeah. And so people are finding courage by social media or something like that. And so we've got to be able to provide role models for young people. We've got to be able to provide opportunities for young people. Yeah. And so we're looking at how do we help people go, I can be a part of this, or what this is in my heart, this desire, this passion, this whatever it is, I can apply it here. And so we're looking at across the board, how do we provide opportunities? That's why I'm looking in what I'm responsible for, youth ministry. How within youth ministry can I provide opportunity for young people? How can we channel that? Right. And so we do Amplified Arts Academy, which is the performing arts kind of stuff. We'll do all sorts of different trainings, different days, different things, people to be a part of it. So opportunities, environments. So how can you create a healthy environment? Great. So, you know, I was brought up on an East London estate, and the kids hanging out there, we were rough, like rough kids. But then I got brought to a church, and I was like, what the heck? What kind of environment is this? And I was exposed to a completely different environment than the one I was brought up in. And so that changed my whole perspective. Go, actually, things can be different. And so if we can point people and put people into a different environment, like youth, like church, like the hangouts, like socials, and they're looking at, there's someone my age not on the street smoking on their bike, but lifting up their hand in worship. This is wild. This is crazy. And so can we create environments? And then the last thing, like in terms of the church, what we can do is we can point people towards Jesus. Right. And so how can we help people get people towards Jesus and all of that sort of stuff? So the mayor's all about it. So he came to our carols service in December at Wembley, got him to speak for like 5 minutes. But he's like, yeah, I'm backing this. This is incredible. And so if we can do that with the church and in society, then we can see a change.
So good, so good. There's loads in that. There's loads in that. And thanks, Dan. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being with us. And it's been so amazing. And we're praying and believing for more for Hillsong, and believing for you and your wife, Jo. Firstly, it was your wedding anniversary yesterday, 14th of June. So congratulations.
Amazing. Thank you, sir.
Years.
We made it.
We made it.
Come on, let's keep going.
But now we're believing the best for you. So come on, let's thank Dan. So amazing.